So I taught my guy in 2 hours how to go over payroll, and the ROI on that is like 100 to 1 because I just taught it for 2 hours, and now I don't have to do it for the next 30 years.
How do you create systems around the things that only you know how to do, that only you're an expert in, Craig? Like, I can't create a system on how to handle casework or how to answer the phone. Only I can do that.
Right. Well, in some other coaching programs I've been in, they call it taking off your hero cape because we all think we're a superhero. So early on in my career, I decided I needed to take off my superhero cape because I'm not a superhero. So I took off the superhero cape and realized that, 90% of what I do can be taught. So we're all holding on to that stuff that we can't delegate because we can do it and only we can do it. And I have an example that I've done in the last 3 months, and I'm 27-year attorney, but I hired a COO within the last 6 months, a chief operating officer. And something I've been holding on to forever was going over payroll. Now, I don't enter the payroll. I don't give it to my payroll company. But once it was done, after it was already done, I'd go over it just to make sure that nobody got paid too much or that there were any errors. And that took about an hour per week. Now, to me, an hour per week is super, super valuable. So I had to teach my COO a couple of months ago how to go over payroll. And of course, that was something that only I'm smart enough to do because I know everybody's hourly rate. I know what everybody's paid. And how could anyone get that knowledge? So I brought in my COO and I said, I'm going to spend 2 hours teaching you how to go over payroll. And on the left side of the screen, we had the software system we use. And someone asked in the chat, what system to use? We use Tetra, like the name of a fish. Tetra is a software program for documenting your systems. We demoed about 6 different software programs. We use Tetra. And then we use Loom to, like Andy was talking about, to do videos, how-to videos within Tetra. So we use Tetra. And so I had Tetra on the left side of my screen, and on the right side of my screen, I had the payroll. So as I was going through with him how to go over payroll, we were creating the procedure in Tetra on the left side of the screen, and on the right screen, we were actually doing the task. Because what I've found is the only way to create the procedure is to actually do it at the same time as you're teaching it. So whatever the procedure is, do it on the right side of the screen, and then type in what you're doing on the left side, which is the procedure. So I taught my guy in 2 hours how to go over payroll, and the ROI on that is like 100 to 1 because I just taught it for 2 hours, and now I don't have to do it for the next 30 years. So what's the ROI on 2 hours of your time, and you're saving 1 hour a week for the next 30 years? I don't know. It's pretty high, I would think. So I'm never going to do payroll again, ever, for the rest of my career, and I spent 2 hours teaching it. So that's an example of the ROI on doing this because you don't want to spend those 2 hours. We all think, A, it can't be taught, and B, I don't have those 2 hours. Well, you do have those 2 hours because you're saving yourself 52 hours over the next year on that particular task.
So the next thing I want to ask is, how do you get your team to buy into the systems? And you and I talked a little bit about this, and we talked a little bit about culture and creating a culture of buy-in. So what is your hack, or what is your belief around getting your team to actually buy into the systems?
Well, the first is the culture of accountability. And, I run a shop based on EOS, which is, the entrepreneurial operating system, based on that book called Traction. And in Traction, it talks about accountability and a culture of accountability, which is the analogy I use is a sports team. So if you have a basketball team, a football team, or whatever, and someone blows a play or someone screws up, there's a culture of accountability, which is everybody, hopefully positively, tries to train that person and not make that mistake again. So if everybody's watching everybody else and holds everybody accountable, and you have a culture of accountability, if someone doesn't do the process correct, there are 4 other people looking at it going, hey man, there was a process for this. Let me show you where it is. And if you have 4 people telling you how to do it right when you messed it up, and it's a supportive culture of accountability, there's practically no chance that you're not going to the procedure the next time because there's 4 people on your butt showing you where you should have gone. So it's that everybody's not being watched because that's more like a big brother type thing. It's more that we're all in this together. We're all reaching toward a similar goal, and we want you to access the resources that have been provided for you to do this correctly so we can all succeed. So it's part of my incentives, it's part of my accountability structure, and it's just part of my entire culture, which is a culture of supportive accountability.